Awesome. Welcome back to yet another episode of the Truth Talk podcast. Today, I'm joined by a very, very, very special guest, Mr. Mixo Ngoveni from Geekulcha. If you're in the tech industry, you know Geekulcha. If you don't know Geekulcha, then I don't know what tech you think you're doing because you're behind. So we've got a very special guest. I'll allow him to just give a short intro of himself and yeah.
All right. Thanks for that warm welcome. My name is, as I said, Mixo Ngoveni, and I am the co-founder of Geekulcha, which is a tech platform for connecting young people to the world of technology. So we've got presence in all 9 provinces, focusing on things like hackathons, trainings, exposure to young people to the world of tech. We've got presence on campuses using Geekulcha student societies. But essentially, we really are just building a tech community for young people and bridging that gap between industry and young people as well. My interest in tech started some time back. Always been interested in how tech works from sound engineering. So I did a bit of sound engineering just to, I wanted to know how does it work. So people create sound systems, and that was what I wanted to try and do. Went to study engineering at TUT, left it after a year because I just felt there was some things not that were missing from the course, because of my interest in the business side. So engineering then was really more, it just felt like going forward, everything would just be all technical.
Was that sound engineering?
No, it wasn't sound engineering, it was electronic engineering.
Okay.
So it just felt like it was just going to be, the way I was also seeing other engineers was not so captivating for me.
What was that? What were you seeing?
It was just, it's not how I expected things. So I've always liked the business side of things. I've always liked the human interaction a lot, and the exposure to the different engineers that I saw, they didn't really show that kind of lifestyle, and I just felt that would be missing a bit from my side. I like doing things that I enjoy. So it's always important for me to make sure that I know that I'm getting myself into something that I'll enjoy. So went to do business informatics at TUT.
Okay. When was that?
Jeez.
I'm not trying to calculate your age or anything.
Right. It's definitely before 2010, because I think that was my last year, 2010.
Okay.
So I'd say probably 2017, somewhere there. No, not 2017, 2007. That's how far back.
Okay.
Is it somewhere around there? Yes, definitely somewhere around there. So that's how far back it's been. So that's what I went to study at TUT. And that was nice because it bridged the two worlds for me, the business side. So from an informatics side, you learn a lot in terms of business processes. You learn a lot in terms of how to deal with business, needs and that. And you also have to know a little bit about the technical stuff. Just to understand, so you can speak the language, So that was a nice mixture for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what happened after? What you did your degree at TUT? And then did you get into a normal 9 to 5, or what did you do?
So my route has been paved different. From high school as well. While I was at school, I was selling stuff. I was selling cell phone covers for the 3310. So again, there I'm exposing my age. So I was selling cell phone covers. Tertiary, I was selling airtime and CDs for MP3s and the likes on campus. The transition was slightly different. I finished my diploma. So it was a diploma. I finished it.
Okay.
But I really was completing it to, make sure my parents are happy that I've gone to school. I've got something that I've actually done, Then I got an opportunity at MLab. This was in 2011 or so, somewhere there. I got an opportunity to come and just, see the space and get exposed. But before that, I actually did my internship
Okay.
at the Pretoria Zoo. So I did my internship at the Pretoria Zoo. And even then, it was one of my classmates who says, Misha, here's an opportunity to come and do an internship. Because after my normal studying, I was not even really interested in internships and the likes.
Yeah.
But she's like, come through so you can do your 6 months and graduate. So did my internship at the Pretoria Zoo for 6 months, got paid 1,000 rand after 6 months, which was pretty interesting.
So you got paid 1,000 rand
Yeah.
after 6 months.
After 6 months.
Wow.
It was, I mean, for me, I took it because one, free access to the zoo, so I can see animals for free. But also, it was a very discovery-free phase for me. I only saw that I would have access to internet, I would have access to a computer, and that would allow me to do a lot of research in terms of what's going on in the tech space, tech companies. That's when I started making a database of all the different tech companies out there. So as much as it looked like you know, um, eh, 6 months, 1,000 rand after, for me, it was really great value because I used that period to really understand a lot about the tech ecosystem in SA,
Yeah.
the different players, started networking with some of them. And also there was a bit of flexibility being there. So I think that's another thing that about me, I don't really like being tied down to a particular environment or particular schedule.
Yeah.
I like that element of flexibility. So it worked out very, very well for that 6 month period. But yeah, after that, it was really starting a journey of building Geekulcha, which started in 2013.
2013.
Yeah.
So what was the thing that you saw, the problem that you saw that you're like, okay, let's start Geekulcha?
So I got an opportunity from Microsoft while I was still a TUT student. And the way the opportunity came was really a blessing, I must say. Because at TUT, or almost in any institution, you have to do a third year project. So, we did our third year project. Our team did not make the final cut. So there was something called Microsoft Emerging Cup. Our team did not make the final cut. A team of these girls made it. But on the way closer to December, because the event was happening in December, they decided to drop out and say they can't go anymore. And then I formed a team with one of my friends. She invited me to form a team with her. And closer to the event, she pulled out as well. So I was left alone, which I consider it a blessing because it was really positioning. And it was really the beginning of a lot of things for me in the tech space. So yeah, I went to the Emerging Cup with Microsoft. We had a buzz system that we had to present. I remember there's one guy, we're sitting chilling with a bunch of guys at the Emerging Cup, and they were talking about cloud computing. And I just could not understand what they're talking about.
And that was 2013.
This was in Imagine Cup was 2010, 2011, somewhere there. So I started my role as a Microsoft student partner this next year. So that Imagine Cup was 2010. I just did not understand what do you mean by cloud computing? How does this work? So that's when I went to Microsoft and said, look, there's a gap here. As students from our institutions are not so exposed to some of these things.
Yeah.
So that's when the next year they selected me as one of the 6 Microsoft student partners. My role was to represent TUT. And part of that role was to, back in the days of Windows Phone, was to introduce a lot of Windows Phone development to students on campus. But again, here I am, not much of a technical person, and I'm supposed to play a role of, introducing people to software development or app development, which was a bit of a struggle.
You had no coding skills.
It was really below par.
Okay.
I mean, I'm a business informatics guy, so coding was not top of the order, But yeah, I figured a way because I'm like, look, it's. I don't like losing, one, because we had to compete, but I always like to understand my opponents. Again, there were students from, MSPs from UP as well. and Lebu, one of them, brilliant young lady, Lebu Matise. So I had to figure out how do I, at least let Microsoft notice me as well for the efforts I'm putting in, even though I'm not building anything. So that's when I started the building communities on campus as well. So really transferring that particular knowledge. But yeah, it's been a long journey. We can sit and talk almost all day about it. But essentially, from there, had an opportunity with the Innovation Hub, with the grad program Coach Lab. And even then, again, they asked, because I took them to TUT, they asked if my application, why they haven't received my application. So I eventually submitted, and it was a 9 month program. And the reason why I did it again was my journey of discovering Geekulcha had started. So obviously chose not to go to work. So that came with a stipend for a good 6 months, even though I was forced to go and do my BTech. So that was for personally my downfall around it.
I hear you.
Yeah, so it's been a long journey, but haven't gone and worked formally.
Never.
Nah.
Interesting.
I mean, the closest to through Coach Lab is we're based at the Innovation Hub. We had a project to work on, and then I was assigned to Standard Bank. So our sponsor was Standard Bank. That was probably the closest thing. But besides that, most of my journey has been learning by going to events, networking with people in the industry. Made lots of crazy mistakes on the way. Because chose to learn the hard way. So it was also part of the build-up, because while I was at the Pretoria Zoo, I was making a list of organizations that I wanted to work with, not necessarily work for. So things really came together.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at Geekulcha, I always see you guys doing hackathons.
Yeah.
And these amazing innovation competitions where people come 2 days, they need to build a solution, a lot of Red Bulls, no sleeping bags. We are working here.
Yeah.
What are some of the most amazing innovations or products that have come out of Geekulcha hackathons?
So one that I really like a lot was not necessarily from a hackathon, but they started using that particular product at some of their hackathons. It was these guys from TUT. They built this wired car. So if growing up, would play with wired cars, and you'd always have a stick where you would drive that wired car. So they came with that wired car, but they changed things around, and instead of using a stick to drive it around, they were controlling it with an app.
Wow.
And yeah, so it's slightly more common now. By back then, 2013 or so, I mean, I just found that really cool. That you can actually maneuver the car with your phone, do the siren, do the lights indication. But what they did was really cool is that they started putting sensors in it to detect, air pollution, to detect a few things around as part of.
And they did that all, was that during the hackathon?
So they build it separately, but they would bring it to the hackathon as a part of as an add-on to their project.
Okay.
Right. So that was definitely one. Another one is a team called Guardian Health. It's always worth talking about them because they came to a hackathon, two partners. They came to one hackathon and they started engaging and, coming to various hackathons. But what they did is they eventually figured out that what they want to build. And when they went to different hackathons, they'll just be adding on top of that particular solution and strengthening that solution. So now Garden Health is a startup and it focuses on health as well. So that was a pretty cool thing that a product came from the hackathon, continuously being revamped at hackathons. And now it is
fully-fledged business.
Yeah. Yeah, but through the journey, there have been others who've come through. But it's not always the products that happen during the hackathon. It's the ones that decide to take it further that really make those solutions come to life. They put a little bit more effort, they do a little bit more research, they find different partners, they test with the market. That's where the real sweet spot comes in.
Okay. I always advise Melsoft Academy students or anyone in general who follows me to say that if you want to break into tech, every hackathon that's happening, you have to be there. Even if you're just a spectator or you are one of those people that are serving, just be in that environment because your network is going to grow.
Definitely.
You're going to learn quite a lot, and even maybe they'll let you be on one of the teams.
Yeah.
Then you're even going to learn a lot more. So would you say hackathons are a great tool for someone who's looking to break into tech, get their first job into tech, or what are some of the things that someone who wants to break into tech needs to know about hackathons? How do they make the most out of them when they go there?
All right. So I guess for those who might not be familiar with the hackathon is it's a 24, 36, 48-hour challenge where you're given a challenge, you form a team, and you use technology to address that particular challenge.
Yeah.
Hackathons have generally been receiving a lot of backlashes as well.
Really?
Yeah, so they've been receiving a lot of backlashes in terms of, there's a big focus on the prize and this and this and this. But hackathons mean different things to so many people. As you mentioned, you can actually go to a hackathon and build an incredible network.
Yeah.
Because you're getting people that are coming from KZN, people coming from different institutions, lots of knowledge sharing, people that you in future work with in the same companies or potentially even start a company. So there's that part. There's a part where people fear going to hackathons because they feel they're not properly equipped.
Yeah.
Someone will say, I'm not, I'm not skilled enough.
Yes.
And what we do with our hackathons, they're open. So yes, there are some hackathons where there's a particular criteria, there's a selection process, but some hackathons are just open. So you come in with whatever skill set that you have, to a point that we even welcome people from the marketing side, business side, journalism side, because they add a different skill set. We generally believe hackathon teams, the best teams are not just those with technical people, but a proper team from business to design, and it's always great when people come together. So people shouldn't really fear hackathons. One of the best ways of preparing is going there with an open mind to learn, open mind to share, open mind to have fun. You can learn a lot of things from presentations as well, because you get to stand and present in front of a crowd, be it 30 people, 100 people, 200 people. You get to present to industry people, but also you have mentors as well, so industry experts. So let's say the hackathon is focusing on cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Someone within mentors from the industry in cybersecurity are present, and they deal with the stuff every day. So you get to learn directly from them. But it's also an opportunity, as you said, recruitment. Some companies come to hackathons for recruiting talent. And it's a good way to see, okay, what is a person able to do? What isn't a person able to do? They also see a bit of the attitude and behavior as well. And they can say, well, we see this person, they lack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it's someone that we can actually work with, because we see experienced people getting hired directly, directly from hackathons, where some hackathons, that's actually the prize.
Oh, wow.
So that recruitment is part, internship is part of some hackathon prizes.
Wow.
Yeah.
If you need motivation to go to a hackathon, you can get a job from that.
Yeah. So I mean, the other thing is, like I said, it's what you make out of a hackathon.
Yeah.
The attitude also plays a part. So jobs definitely not guaranteed, but how you position yourself can can play a part in it. The learning, how you position yourself. Are you open to learning? Are you open to networking? So it's also how a person conditions themselves that they can get the best out of a hackathon.
Okay, so let's touch a little bit on jobs, because the majority of the youth, you know this, right? Our people, 60% of people between 18 to 35 jobless and hopeless. And if you flip it on the other side in tech, there are so many opportunities. There's a lot that you can do if you just put your foot in the door.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So what would you recommend someone? Let's say I'm 19 years old. I've just finished my matric. I want to break into the tech industry, but I can't afford the degree, or maybe that's out of reach. Even let's put the degree as an option. What would you say is the fastest path that someone can take to get into the tech space?
I'm glad you mentioned the age 19, because we've seen 12-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds get into the space at that age. The best thing is get yourself in, expose yourself to as much as you can, learn as much as you can. There's great platforms to learn online. There's content flowing in different places, sometimes you can even go to an event and learn something from that particular event. I know for one, I attended a lot of events, while I was still a student as well. And that helped me a lot with networking. It helped me, it's difficult. You're a student and there's a bunch of industry people. You don't know how to speak to them, but just learn how to find your way. You learn how to speak to those type of people, and they remember you down the line. Some of them, they give you the call. Some of them, you reach out to them much easier because they remember that, I remember this person. I've met this person. So people should just expose themselves to things out there. Yes, university is great, but it's not the only solution out there. And learn, practice. A lot of people don't practice enough. Build stuff, continuously build, improve your products or whatever you're building. Get into people's hands, get some feedback. Do not fear feedback. So try to get as much as possible yourself, as much as possible out there. And that's where the real sweet spot is. So I mean, if you think about it, traditional university, you're sitting in a classroom, 200 people or so. They are all your competitors, right? How do you make yourself stand out? What is it about you that's going to make you be the person to pick? Because at the end of the day, everybody's going to submit more or less the same CV. So do you have a portfolio? What does your portfolio have? I know students will say, but I haven't done anything. Build something. If you say you are studying web development, build a few websites. If you say you're studying app development, build a few websites. Apps as well. Host your stuff on GitHub and the likes, So at least you have a portfolio. You have content that you can say,
something you can show.
I've shown, the industry loves that because it's okay. We can see what this person can do. We know where they lack, and it's slightly easier to recruit such a person.
Yeah. I totally agree with you there. So my university story, I went to university in Zim. For me, it was I finished my grade 12. What's next? Oh, university. Everyone else is going to university. I might as well. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I just went there. For me, it was just a complete snooze fest. I'll just get into the class and be like, oh, what's this? Oh, business or whatever. Assignments, exam, and then go party with my friends, get drunk, because that was the first freedom I ever got in my life, right?
And maximizing it.
Oh, I maximized it. I maximized. But looking back, I'm like, what a waste of time. Because if I had really applied myself, learned new skills in those 4 years, and gone out more to events, like you're saying, and networked and met people, even online, just going onto those webinars and things like that, I would have been a lot further ahead than I am now. And I always kick myself for not making the most out of it.
I mean, it's definitely a great lesson for others to learn from. You're sure, do go and experience life, have the fun, but also expose yourself out there. So, wherever possible, we try to get the guys in our community to be exposed. It's always a tricky thing for some people, but it's very important that you definitely put yourself out there.
Yeah. And that balance. So please, I'm gonna go a little bit into your personal
Sure.
life. Yeah. That balance of social life as a young person,
Yeah.
and your studies, your career. Where do you strike that balance? Because nowadays you're getting two polarizing figures. You get the end rotates that say you're 19 years old, you're at the height of your energy, don't go to parties, don't do anything, just work, make a lot of money. Then once you're 27, 28, you can now go and enjoy it. And then there's that other side that's saying you're still young, take your time, try things, drink, and all these other things. How did you manage that balance personally when you're at TUT?
I mean, for me, it was finding interest. Things that I found interesting, I would still do them. I think I'm slightly different because even my studying, I'm not the type that would study weeks in advance. I study. I even developed a way of how to study. So I'll study my books like I'd read a magazine.
Yeah.
That way I put myself in a very relaxed environment, and I was not reading to cram per se. I was reading to, okay, like how you'd read a magazine, you read a person's story, you remember the story, you can even talk about the story. So that's what I was pushing. And in terms of a balance, I mean, I still did a lot of other stuff. I enjoyed music, so I'll still make time to go and, play or at least learn how to play the keyboard then. I'll still go and learn, I mean, do sound. So I put a lot of effort in doing sound at church. Where there was time to go out with friends, I would do that as well. So it's just a matter of balance. And my advice to anyone is when you're young, enjoy being young. Enjoy the time of being young, but also learn other stuff. So there's a lot of time. If you really think about it, you have so much free time or sometimes at school.
Yeah.
So yes, have the good time, but sneak in a few times here to go and learn something. There's nothing wrong with spending a weekend at a hackathon once a month.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong going for 3 hours at an event, where you get to learn and connect with people. So do the fun stuff, but balance it slightly with, the things that will grow you. So that's what I did. I still would watch my sports. I'll still just
Menu.
let's not go there. Yeah,
You're very loyal, eh?
I am. Yeah, they ripping my heart into shreds.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the team. Menu, Kaizer Chiefs.
Do you think Ten Hag deserves another year, or are you done with that manager?
At this point, I'm at the point where I don't really care. I don't really care. But I mean, there's lessons even from that. There's lessons I'm personally learning from a business front. In terms of how to manage an organization, how to grow that particular organization. But yeah, balance is very important. Especially when you get older. Your balance now, your time now becomes smaller. You're trying to spend time with family here. You're trying to rush and push business here. You're trying to learn here. But then you neglect probably one of the most important parts is your health. So it's a crazy juggling that happens, but you do find that time. You need to find time. So I've learned to work a lot with scheduling. I've learned a lot to do with using the to-do list and ticking off things. For the longest of time, I was not doing that. But I've also learned to just segment certain times in my day and say, here, I don't really want to work. I want to focus on this and this. Even the days of the week, I've learned to segment them and say, okay, this one is more focused on admin. This one is focused on maybe digital content. This one is focused on going out there.
You mean like the days of
Yeah,
your
the
week?
days of the week. So I've learned how to section that. And certain times of the evening, I've learned to block out. So at least I can try to spend time with family as well. So it's things that you start learning, and you realize once you start building that kind of structure, you are able to do a lot more things. And it helps a lot.
Okay. All right. So you're balancing your time. That's one very great asset to have
Yeah.
as a young man. So let's just go back to your journey of starting Geekulcha.
Sure.
So Black entrepreneurs, right? Most of us, I don't know if that's the same for you, but most of us, we don't come from trust funds and then just, here's 1 million rand to start your business. I don't know if that was the case for you, but how did you start? What advice would you give to someone who is ready to start their own business, but they don't have any sort of savings, or how do you turn nothing into millions?
Yeah, definitely not a trust fund, baby. I wish.
Okay. Yeah, me too.
I wish that was the case. I think I was slightly fortunate because when things started, I was still staying at home. So it gave me the cushion to, during the day, go try and discover and figure out and mess around here and there. You're guaranteed of you've got a bed to sleep on. You don't need to pay rent, and you definitely will get food to sleep to eat. So that was the biggest cushion. And after taking the Coach Lab graduate program opportunity, that at least provided some bit of funds to start, buying a laptop, to start doing 1, 2, 3. So it helped a lot. But before that, I always laugh at how it was where would go to would literally plan our days on in according to events. So, morning there's an event here, so I'm guaranteed of breakfast. Lunch, there's an event here, I'm getting guaranteed of lunch. So we literally would manage our days like that.
Yeah.
Where okay, food is covered. All you have to do, network, learn, and whatnot. And there was a point where I was completely bashing 9 to 5 people. I was like, yeah, 9 to 5 is not the thing, not bashing out loud, but definitely bashing.
Yeah.
When you start off, you're like, the hustler type of thing, until you start seeing flames. And you learn to respect the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
The value that it brings, stability that it brings. So I would advise, at this current moment, I'd advise anyone where possible, get yourself like at least one foot in somewhere. Get a little bit of funds, get paid here and there, some sort of stipend, save a little bit. It's going to help you grow your business. It's a lot easier if you have that supporting structure of some sort where there's a bit of income coming in.
Yeah.
Then you can start, spreading some time and say, okay, I'm going to use this time to do 1, 2, 3, and work on my business. I think Gary Vee breaks it down very nicely, where he says, do your typical 9 to 5, but the rest of the evening, reserve it for yourself and your own projects.
Yeah.
So I would do that. And the beauty of, I think, a 9 to 5 is you learn a lot faster. You learn in structured environments. You've got a very good cushion to work with. And you can also build networks.
Yeah.
It does help. If you decide to go full on entrepreneurship, be prepared for the challenges.
Yeah.
And for us, we started for the longest of time, we've been asked, how do you guys make money? That was one of the biggest questions we constantly being asked. And for the longest of time, we decided to build a community over how do we make money. Because we realized the ecosystem we're in, there's a lot of players who have the resources. They have the infrastructure, the buildings and whatnot, but they don't have the community. Right. So we then said, let's figure out how do we build a community, a very strong, vibrant tech community in SA, that we can easily then plug into this infrastructure that these guys have and also tap into their resources. So it worked very well for us because as we started growing, even our rates would learn how to increase them, would get bigger clients, get more exposure through that. So it helped from our side in terms of growing our business in that format. It's a tricky one because it means for the longest of time, you are more dependent on, um, projects coming in, and not necessarily you going out and reaching those projects or looking for those projects. That's how we worked as well. And also, we did not go for funding.
Even up to now.
Yeah.
Self-funded.
Self-funded, which is extremely challenging.
I can relate.
So self-funded, and that was very important for us then, because we needed to figure out a lot of things. We needed to see how far we can go. But now we definitely have achieved a lot. We've managed to build a good brand. And now it's just a matter of the next level definitely needs those kind of funding. But our story is different in the sense of we no longer go and look for funding by saying we have an idea. We'll go and say, we have done 1, 2, 3. Here are the results of what we've done. But for us to go to the next level or to the next 10 levels, we need X amount. And that's the very interesting and exciting phase we're in.
Yeah. And Vusi Tembekwaya once said it also on his podcast or one of his talks that a true entrepreneur does not need funding to get started. You only need funding to scale and to blow something up that's already proven to be working.
Yeah. I have different views on funding now.
Okay.
I think if you can, get it, but have a good plan for it. But as you said, there's real value in being able to do things on your own.
Yeah.
Being able to not fully depend on. The main thing about business is, do you have you discovered a problem or a challenge? Are there people that are willing to pay for it? If you can prove that people that are willing to pay for it, and they actually pay for it, you then have a business.
Yeah.
So sales is one of the biggest things. So the more you can get sales, the more you can get people paying. I think the less you'll need funding. Obviously, there will come a point where you want to scale up and you need those funds. So where possible, if you can push as far as you can on your own. But yeah, there comes times. Some products that people work on are hardware related, and you find they are really, money intensive, and you do need those kind of funds as well.
Yeah.
But certain things I believe you can do, you can start without having the right funds. I hear a lot of people too dependent on the funds. And, but they haven't acquired customers. They haven't acquired users. They haven't tested their products with people. So it becomes difficult for anyone to even find you at that stage.
Yeah. And also there's this perception around funding that I've seen amongst young entrepreneurs that once you get funding, you have succeeded. That's it. You've made it. You can take that funding and now get yourself your nice BMW, get your nice house in Sandton. You've made it. But that's completely wrong.
Yeah, funding definitely is there to help you grow, and don't blow it up.
Yeah.
Don't blow it up on unnecessary stuff. So that's where the value of pushing as much as you can without the fund. Once you get it, you need to then know what is the fund for. The funds are meant to grow the business. They're meant to support the business, support the staff, bring in more resources so that you can make more money. The cars and the houses will come in the long run, but just try to have a very good, sustainable business.
Yeah. For all those that laugh at my Suzuki Swift, my 2016 used, hey man, I'm building something. I don't have time to take money and then put it in a fancy car. For me, cars personally, I just see them as something that takes me from point A to point B.
Mm.
Like for me, money on cars, I try to spend the least as possible. But gadgets, that is my weakness. Oh, I step into iStore, I step into Incredible, I'm already buying something.
I mean, we all have those those things that you have a weakness for. I mean, cars are great, and whatever works for whoever, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's always good to start with what you have.
Yeah.
You know, push as much as you can with what you have. I think one of the biggest lessons I've personally learned is try to build as much funds as possible that support the business. I mean, through the journey, we learned a lot in terms of how to manage the business,
Yeah.
acquire certain resources for the business. You know, you get projects and you get money, and you're like, obviously the money grows as the projects come, but every time you're like, okay, I never thought. Then you reach a point where certain amounts are no longer shocking. In fact, they feel very little because you know that when you blink, it's gone.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of the things that one learns through the journey.
And if you could go back to when you were starting with all the information and the knowledge that you have now, what do you wish you would have done differently?
What would I have done differently? I think I would have brought myself closer to an organization that mimics what I'm trying to do, or at least there's a particular culture that I want to develop. I think that I'll get to learn how are they doing this. I would get to sit with the people and learn how are they managing business. And I think that's the biggest thing. Would have been less scared to charge. I think for when you're starting.
You once said that to me in Cape Town the other
Yeah.
day. You wish you started charging soon.
Like charging is it's a scary thing for a lot of people. You sit and you look at the number like, is it too small? Is it too much? Am I, but I've learned the sweet spot, how to work with the sweet spot. But yeah, that's something that I definitely would have learned because you need funds to sustain the business.
Yeah.
And the sooner you can get them, the better. And also, the more you charge earlier, the more you sort of like get validation in terms of what you're offering.
Yeah.
Is it really the ideal price? So we learned a lot of those things on our own. I'm pretty sure some people, when they received our invoices, they were like, these guys are not serious. Anyway, let's just give them type of thing.
They're
But
too low.
Yeah, so you learn that. And I think one of the things that we learn quickly is when the response is very quick back then, it means maybe we charge too low. So we started learning how to increase it. But now at least we found our space in terms of what do we want to charge. We've revamped our business model as well. And there's a few things that we've definitely learned. So there's a lot that one can change or do better. But definitely the charging one, building a team earlier. But not just building a team, building a team that is sustainable, that is really looked after from resources as well. So when you build, really think about that in terms of how do you ideally, support the people that are part of that particular team. How do you build a sort of like a team culture? And I think one area where worth working on is communication. How do you communicate with the team? How do you communicate with people? When things go wrong, don't be scared to let people know things are bad. And it's a learning thing that one goes
It's never
through.
easy, hey?
It's not easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the type of things that one would learn and actually, do better.
Yeah. And from a South African business landscape perspective, are there any government departments or anything that the government does to support youth entrepreneurs that you feel like needs to be more well known?
Yeah, I think there's a lot. There's a lot. Again, it's information. It's finding the information, also being in the right spaces as well. I mean, we've got a particular partner, CPSI, who are doing incredible things in the public sector innovation space. So if you're working on a solution in the public sector space, there are great people to help you understand. So you might be thinking, I'm working on a GBV solution.
Yeah.
And you're working on it on your own, right? They will be able to give you what's the landscape, who else has built something like that, which departments can you then go to actually make the process move faster. So they help you navigate. So that's definitely one. There's some other institutions where they're more supported by the government. I know the likes of NEMISA do get support from from digital skills.
Yeah.
So it's worth looking into. They teach people things like photography, videography, and those likes of things. So maybe there's a lot more work that needs to be done in terms of putting these things out there, making people be aware of these particular opportunities.
Yeah.
But there still needs to be a lot more. I believe the government definitely needs to do a lot more. But also as us young people, um, how do we position ourselves? We should not always wait to say, the information will come to us, or always expect the government to do certain things. See how far you can go on your own. There's lots of people that can help you navigate the spaces.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Well said. And also for young people, I always also encourage them to find a mentor.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you don't necessarily need to rely on the government or someone or any other organization, but if you can find a mentor or someone who's already there
Yeah.
where you want to be, reach out to them on LinkedIn
Oh,
or
definitely.
yeah. Do you offer mentoring for those that are listening?
No. So I say no because obviously, um, yeah, I don't want to get over flooded. But yes,
Mhm.
I do give out time, and listen to people's ideas, listen to what they're thinking, do exchange my numbers here and there, just to hear people. I believe I was given that 30 minutes by a whole bunch of different people, and it helped make a difference in terms of where I'm going.
Mm.
But I think people need to understand when you're seeking out a mentor, you need to understand what you want.
Yeah.
You also need to be committed as well on your side because that's a person's time.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, so know what you want, be committed to that particular time, maximize that time as well. But also do not expect the mentor to do the work.
Yeah.
A mentor is, ideally, in my view, someone that you bounce an idea off, someone that can sort of like give you feedback to what you've already done, someone that can say, okay, I hear what you worked on. Let me connect you with so and so. So that ideally for me is what a good mentor is about. They help you move a little bit faster, but they need your input to actually see where do they navigate you. And so yeah, have a
Yeah.
mentor. It's even good to have different mentors
Mm.
who are focused in certain things. So not always a mentor that's focused on your line of work. It's good to have a mentor in your line of work, but maybe someone else in a different direction. That just adds more value to your knowledge and your development as well.
Yeah, I once had this mentor when I was just studying Milsoft,
Mm,
and she was a German woman in the aviation industry,
mm,
totally unrelated
yeah.
to tech and software development and all these things. But I spent about 3 months with her. I would go to her home
Mm,
every single day, and she would panel beat me. She was very critical in a great way,
mm,
because some of the minor things, when I was just starting out, I had built a very shiny website and it looked great. And she would say, from the outside, it looks like your business is highly professional. But when people sit with you, you're acting like you're still a child. You're still learning. And I was still a child. I was still learning indeed. But she really, really made me elevate my professional game to the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you need that. So you need someone from who gives a different perspective. But also I like the fact that you say she was critical.
Yeah.
You want someone that is not so scared to tell you what they feel. Not too much what they feel, but what they see as well. Someone who will not let you just go hit the wall and crash for no reason. Who can say, look, I think you're doing horrible stuff. I think you are losing focus, and they're straight out and blunt, right? And some people are not able to take that. So also you learn. It's also important to continuously learn as you grow with your mentor. So you definitely need a mentor.
Yeah.
I recommend for people to secure and find a mentor. Even the way you approach a mentor is people on different platforms are willing to learn to help, but also how you approach them. You must also keep in mind that that very person that you're approaching could potentially be approached by 100 other people.
Yeah.
What makes you stand out? How are you approaching them? And yeah, it's just a matter. Some people, when they send you email, and it's just like, you can't be serious.
Right. There are these ones that I always get on TikTok. Someone will just say, "Hi, Larreth. I graduated from this degree. Please help me get a job." And for me, I'm like, okay, I don't know you, and you're just coming and just saying, "Please help me get a job." I feel like if you're looking for a mentor, you have to give something, and then ask later. But maybe the first 2-3 messages, try to be in a giving position before you can then make an ask.
Yeah, I know we live in a time where, we want results quickly.
Yeah.
But one thing I've also learned is I check people out on different platforms, and I then first try to build some sort of relationship. And the relationship is simple. You don't have to know what food they like and the likes, just watching their content, watching what they talk about, engaging at times with that type of content. It makes your conversation even easier. I was showing someone a chat I had with one Microsoft MD some years back, like in 2011, and the way that he was easy on it, and the way he responded, it was not straight out like, "I'm looking for you to be my mentor," or anything. Just had a good conversation, and his feedback was very easy because I had done my part as well. So yeah, find a mentor. I definitely highly recommend that, but be prepared to put in actually more effort than the mentor.
Yeah.
Ideally, expect to set up a once a month session. But even that session, a mentor wants to know, what are we going to be talking about?
Yeah.
Don't waste my time, type of thing.
Yeah. You have to be prepared.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. And then for someone who's always in the innovation space, we want to just take a left turn.
Sure.
What are some of the technologies that you feel are to look out for, especially from a South African context?
So, I mean, you can't ignore AI, and you can't ignore the AI conversation.
Yeah.
When I hear about the AI conversation, I look at some of the things that's going on from Gen AI and the likes, and I'm always thinking, how are we gonna use some of these things? How are we preparing for the skill sets for this type of things? Not so excited about smart cars.
Okay.
I don't think
on the AI part, the age-old question.
Yeah.
Is AI going to steal our jobs as developers, as IT professionals? What's your take on that?
I wouldn't use the word steal jobs, but definitely there will be a bloodbath.
Wow.
Beth. No, I do believe jobs will be lost, but this is not a new thing. It's been going on with, days of horses and the likes.
Yeah.
We moved from horses and the likes, and things have just always been changing. But as human beings, we evolve. So the big question is, how are you going to evolve? And I think what I've seen with AI is it really enhances how we do things.
Yeah.
And, the response to this is always, it's not AI that's gonna take the jobs. It's the person that
Is using
is
AI.
using AI that is
Yeah.
equipping themselves. So, we look at people in marketing. We look at people in the health space. How are they positioning themselves? Supermarkets. How are people positioning themselves? So, there's also a lot of noise around AI. Sometimes I used to follow a lot of stuff, AI related content. Started cutting down on that because you just can't keep up.
It's fast.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's
like,
really fast.
it's like, I can't believe we're here,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all about preparing yourself, upskilling yourself, and seeing how can you use tools like the such things to upskill yourself and build a better future for you. So definitely AI.
Okay.
I like what's happening in the agriculture space.
Okay.
In terms of how people are using technology to monitor crops, to watch what's happening with the plants, to make decisions. So for me, analytics is a big thing. So anything that involves some element of understanding data, reading a lot about data. That's why people in the data space, I think there's great opportunities for them. You can't shy away from cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Because, I think about the lowest person, and that's my mother. With all these things happening, how do you educate a person like that to avoid cyber crimes and frauds and the likes, and that's an area where we miss as well. So cybersecurity is still going to be a big thing. We're getting hacked on a constant basis.
There's a very common scam that's out there. So I was with my fiance the other day. So she left her phone in an Uber. And the Uber driver, we tried to reach them, we couldn't reach them. Gone. The phone is gone. And it was an iPhone. So with iPhones, they have iCloud, right?
Yeah.
So you can't do anything with that phone. But when an iPhone is lost, you can remote control it from another phone to say, hey, this phone is lost. If it's lost, please send a message to this number. And that's what I did. I put my number there. Then what these thieves did is they saw my number and they sent a message that said an SMS that said, this phone has been found at XYZ location. Please click this link to confirm that it's yours, and then we'll give you your phone, something like that. Then you click the link, it takes you to a web page that says iCloud, and then the URL is weird because obviously it's not coming from Apple. But for a person who's not very sophisticated,
They
will click, and then it gives you that option, and then it says enter your passcode and enter your Apple ID. So that's how if you enter that, your phone is gone. Basically,
you see, so there needs to be definitely lots of education around such. I was watching something yesterday and don't remember the exact phrasing with the words, but in short, criminals are evolving their technology. So they are becoming super smart as well, and it's expected. So those are the fields where I think they're worth paying attention. They're exciting spaces as well, in my view.
Wow, what a chat! Are you learning, Aiden? Okay, all right, great stuff. So, from your personal perspective, Geekulcha, we're about to wrap up now. What can we expect from Geekulcha? What exciting projects are you working on at the moment?
Yeah, so we are definitely penetrating the Cape Town, Western Cape space. What we've done, we've got something called development ecosystems. So we've got one in Northern Cape. It's been running for a few years now. We've got one in Limpopo. We just recently pushing one in the Western Cape. And the idea is really to have a space or platform where we can share sort of like a geek culture representation within that particular province, led by people within the province. So yeah, I do expect a lot of us and presence in Cape Town. We'll still be doing a few hackathons. There's a few lined up.
Okay.
Our annual one is coming later on September. We've got another potential exciting one outside the country, which we'll share more information on that. We'll still be doing stuff in universities. So universities will be a big focus for us. Activities on campuses, and this is done through our societies. Hackathons there. But with this year, we've got a particular theme, the culture of business. And the reason for that is we've seen a lot of things in hackathons, solutions in hackathons.
Yeah.
They disappeared. It ends at the hackathon weekend. So we're exploring ways in terms of how do we make some of these products or solutions come to life. So that's another big focus. To see, okay, we don't just want techies to build stuff and then they stay in their laptops. We want them to get them out there.
And these are real solutions that can solve real problems.
Exactly. And sometimes you just need someone's feedback. You just need a particular door to be opened. So that's what we're trying to push. So parts of that is strengthening our ecosystem as well. So accelerators, hubs, so that areas where we can't help, we at least know that we've got people in the space that you can talk to that can assist you with that.
Great stuff. And if someone wants to get involved into the geek culture community, how do they get involved?
So we're very active on social media. Geek Culture very active on our social media platform. That's where we distribute the content. But you can also go to geekculture.dev/join to be part of the ecosystem. And we also will be pushing our WhatsApp group as another way of pushing the content. But campus, we will be there in different campuses. We've got people reaching out already. So yeah, just be on the lookout for Geek Culture.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you so much.
No.
What a great chat.
No, enjoyed it. Definitely enjoyed it.
Awesome. So guys, if you've heard what you need to do if you want to get involved in geek culture, go to geekculture.dev/join and please attend hackathons. For most of you guys that are listening to this podcast, you guys are in the tech space. And what I've just learned here is that a hackathon, if you hear hackathon, just go. You have to be in as much as those because you're getting exposed to new technology. You're getting exposed to new people. You can even start a business from the solution that you build, or you can partner up with people that just want to build stuff. And then you as a business person can take that to the market. You can even get hired at hackathons. So hackathons are the place to be. In fact, for most of the academy students, hackathons are now compulsory. I know you did say you don't like people to be forced, but sometimes that little push is very necessary, I feel. So we need to be taking hackathons a lot more seriously. I think that's such a great initiative. And thank you so much for the work that you're doing. I also see a lot of your work in very remote areas, like you're saying, Limpopo, Northwest, KZN. You're going to these remote places where people don't even have access to these technologies and you're bringing them there. So fantastic work.
No, thanks for that. So that props to the team and also my partner Diani. He drives a lot of the remote areas, rural area initiatives in marginalized communities. So yeah, we will definitely be doing a lot more of those.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you're on YouTube. Please leave a rating, leave a review. What are your thoughts? Do you have any questions for Mr. Misho here? And then, thank you so much, guys. Peace out. See you next time. Awesome.